So welcome to the Laura and Benny Show. You can probably tell by the high-pitched tone in my voice. I'm a little bit excited about today's podcast. So it's our first guests coming into studio of 2023. Very exciting. And then also it's our first couple who have gone through the planning process twice. Who have, literally, who have experienced the day. Kate and Luke, guys, I'm thrilled you came in. Thank you so much.
No, not at all. Thanks for having us.
Very
exactly.
Good. You're very brave.
Very brave. Yeah. All the other couples would be like, not doing that.
Glad we were right on the list. Being like, no, never speaking to them again, ever.
But in a way, you kind of like, so there's also people who want to talk to you, you've kind of skipped the queue, and there's a reason for that, I think. Because I think we need to address the whole viral TikTok, 2.2 million views. And for anybody that's watching can see this lovely frame on my table. And then for anybody who's just listening, when Kate and Luke arrived, Kate had a gift, and it's like the best gift I've ever gotten, and that includes anything you've ever given to me.
No, once I get Laura a tyre for her car.
He did give me a tyre.
Functional.
Yeah.
Functional. Yeah.
I get that.
But it's, for the people who haven't seen the video, go on and have a look at it. Kate's dad did cut off the train of her wedding dress midday, and Kate has framed a piece of the material that was actually cut off. So I will treasure this forever. Thank you so much.
I was like, it's such an unusual gift. But I was like, I think that they'll understand the reasoning and not just go, oh, she's a bit.
But no, but it was definitely a highlight of the day.
Yeah.
And it probably was for you guys as well.
Completely.
Yeah.
It was memories. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love those little moments that are completely unplanned and then that like stay permanent in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I think they're...
I think it was already strange that, like, not strange, but unique that her dad made her dress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's then even more unique that he cut it off at the steps of the hotel as well.
Yeah. And why you mentioned that, I suppose, like, just to give people a little bit of context, because I wanted to kind of like introduce you in a sense. So obviously we've got Kate and Luke, aka the Barrys. We're going to call you the Barrys. We could triple barrel Kate's surname, but we won't do it because
I waited a long time to be a Barry. I'm very happy with just
Okay,
Barry.
you're good with the Barrys. Okay,
Yeah.
you're good with the Barrys. I kind of wrote a couple things out because I didn't want to like forget everything. So excuse me for a moment for reading it.
Before you do that, I think
there's
there's an in-joke in the family, isn't there?
What
I
is
mean,
that?
over virality.
Is that a word?
It is now. Americans made them up. I'm going to make it up. But there is, isn't it? Because I mean, Luke, you've been trying for ages, I think, to go viral.
Yeah.
You're well comfortable on podcasts and acting maggot online and stuff
I've
like
been kind
that.
of sticking out sketches and stuff for years, trying to get attention, and then Kate's dad goes and cuts her dress, and it just gets 2 million views like that.
Yeah, he doesn't have even any social media at the moment, so...
So Ernest is like a legend online, like just naturally. Just.
I hate him now.
And the boots, the boots, the shoes, people copped so quickly.
Yes. That was my favourite comments, was like, I'm just here for the dad's shoes. I was like, yes, you're my type of person. Yes, my dad's Cuban heels. Yeah.
Cuban heels.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was definitely a highlight. But there's so much about you guys. So like that's obviously one thing, and that's kind of one of what I wanted to come in, and we'll talk about it later on. Because I know, Kate, you've been online kind of going like, this is why it happened. Yeah. Calm down.
Literally, I am okay with most of it, and then you'll be like, okay, no, let me just like clarify little bits of it here.
She's like a keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
yeah. Defending the dress and the father.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was so much else to the day though. So like you got to share your day with your daughter Ivy, which is so special. You got to bring the most beautiful theatrical theme, I suppose, to the day. I'm going to call it that way because to me that's how it felt. Because I know like theatre and everything is a big. That's how you met, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then obviously like the ceremony was a little bit alternative. It was non-traditional. Yeah. It was gorgeous. We just mentioned about your dad cutting the dress, but he also made not one but 2 wedding dresses, flower girls dresses, bridesmaids dresses, and there's probably a list of other things as well that I didn't even know about. It was like told about. And then as well as that, like there was dress reveals, there was dress alterations going on, there was dress changes going on, there was city centre photoshoot in the pouring rain, and then the DIY that you put into the day was just off the charts.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like trying to put it in a
People
nutshell.
feel, I suppose, when people are trying to figure out, why are you here? Why didn't you skip the queue? There was so much that went on.
There was so much.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like, I just wanted to kind of give people a feel of like, this was kind of your day.
Yeah.
And the main thing is that you did your day your own way. And I'm always harping on about, you don't have to do this because this is how things were done, or this is because someone told you have to do it that way. And it was something that really stuck out with me from the minute I talked to you about the plans of the wedding day, and then a lot of people talk about things, but they don't follow through. And you guys followed all the way. You're getting emotional. But you did. You followed through to the day, and it was like every part of it just screamed your personalities. And I adored it.
Because I think even it was really important to us, anytime that we made a decision, it was like, what do we want?
Yeah.
And it's not what's done or what will be the right thing to do. It was just like, what will make us happy on the day? What do we want? And like, there's been so many different themes of the wedding and things, but it was just us. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? No matter how weird or wacky it was just...
It wasn't just doing things because like you don't just go, this is how it's done, let's do the opposite either. Yeah. If something's done for a reason and it makes sense to us, we kept it. Obviously, like the ceremony was slightly alternative, but still had the structure of, say, a church wedding. But we're not church kind of people, so we made it theatrical, I suppose. Musical theatre kind of music and that kind of stuff in it. So
while still being aware that we did have like family members and things like that, and you want everyone to feel comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
That balance is not an easy balance to get to. No. So like as you said, like stick to us and be ourselves and do what we want to do, but try not to rock the boat with the people that are important and close to you. But everyone seemed really happy. Like everyone seemed to be really enjoying the day. Like I didn't notice somebody in the corner going,
Please don't tell us if you did though.
No, I didn't. I genuinely didn't.
I think that was a worry because like I suppose the venue looked like a church anyway, and as I say, it was structured like a church wedding. But there is a worry that I suppose more elderly people in your family are going to rebel against it. I suppose,
or not understand it. I mean, the joke we always tell is grandfather always says, "But when are you really getting married?" Like even though we had a civil ceremony,
like he really enjoyed the day, but like until that man passed, he was constantly kind of going. But when are we going? Like to the into the eyes of God, when are we getting married? And it's just a pure like misunderstanding of the way things work now versus the way they work then. But one of the things I want to talk about because it's really really special, and we actually just recently recorded a podcast about kids at weddings. And you guys were lucky enough. Like we had Amy, our daughter, at our wedding. You got to have Ivy at your wedding, and oh my gosh, she's such a character. Like you fall in love with Ivy.
That's a word for her.
But you would fall in love with Ivy the minute you meet her. And I know there was a couple of nice things on the day that you kind of separately got to enjoy with Ivy. And one of the things with you, Kate, was like you got to spend the morning with her. Yeah. How did you find the morning?
I loved it. Do you know, even when I woke up, she stayed in a different room with my dad the night before. And he texted me, he was like, can I bring her in? I was like, yes, please, bring her into me. And I suppose I thought, okay, this will happen in the morning and this will happen. But it was so relaxed and so chilled that being able to just have her and still be a mom on the morning of the wedding calmed me completely. Because you're not kind of going, oh, what should happen and what should be happening now and what should I be doing? Because you're like, okay, well, my child is here, so I still have to be a mom, so I can look after her.
I actually really like that. I don't think I've ever heard of somebody explain it like that. I was a bride, but I was still a mom. Yeah. Like, and that is literally describing it in a nutshell as having your own kids at your wedding day. Because I do remember it being very calm. Like, it was so chilled, and everyone was kind of like quite happy. And she had her little friend, was it your niece? And the two of them were just in the corner, chilling, playing. Yeah,
taking photographs of each other.
I think I have photographs of, like, I actually meant to mention that we photographed their wedding day, just in case we just found this random couple. We like the idea of their wedding. But I think I have pictures of the two of them taking pictures of each other on the bed, and it was just very, very cute. But she seemed all day long like really occupied and very happy to be part of so many little bits of it. And even things in the morning, like I remember as your dad had made the dress and obviously had done like little dress fittings and bits and pieces, but the beaming smile and the pure excitement of actually getting into the dress.
Yeah, she was so excited. Like even down to her dress. So I had picked the style of dress, we had done everything. She had all of her fittings. And I suppose a big part of my look and things like that were like I wanted to include like little skulls here and there because that's my personality. And she said that she was like, Mom, can I have a skull? And she was so excited that like she had like 2 skulls on her dress. So her getting into it, she was like, oh, I have the same dress as my cousin, but mine has skulls. And she was like, I'm part of the crew. Do you know what I mean?
Stamp of like approval that I'm the main person here.
And she got to decide it. Like I didn't say it to her, but she wanted it. So I think she really was so excited to be like, I've decided this and I'm wearing it.
And she's only 4, isn't she? Yeah. That's all she is. Now, when you talk to this kid, you think she's
3.
older.
She was 3 then, she was 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you do talk to her, you forget she's 4. Like, you know the way you talk to some kids and you find yourself having a more complex conversation and you forget that they're only 4 or 3 or what it was at the time. But she was able to keep up with, like, and she was ahead of a lot of the adults, I think, in some moments.
Really, she's ahead of us most of the time. We're like, who's parenting who here?
At the time of the wedding, she kept telling people, my mum and dad are getting married, my mum and dad are getting married. And they just go, sometimes I think it's my wedding, really.
It is her day now. She's dead right. I'm like, she's having a wedding day too. And then I suppose, so you had a really nice morning, which was really lovely to share. And there was some lovely moments, and I got to witness it, taking the pictures. It was gorgeous. But then Luke, and this is the one and only time I've been asked to do this, and you're probably going to, the idea is going to go out there now.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's going to become a thing. So you had a really nice moment with Ivy, like pre-ceremony. Do you want to tell people about that?
So it was a reveal, effectively.
Yeah.
So I turned my back in the Peace Park, which is next to where our ceremony was. And Ivy was told to run up to me. She casually strolled along up to me. And I then got to turn around and see her in her flower girl dress, and it was amazing.
Great moment.
It was a lovely moment for me, hopefully for Ivy to look back on. It was also functional because we knew that Ivy wouldn't have seen me for a day.
It's true.
And we were worried that if the first time she saw me that I was at the top of the aisle, that she'd run up.
Okay.
True.
We had this moment that was obviously really nice, but it had a function as well.
And even for yourself, it's like that emotional kind of impulse that you would have had. You can have that privately, rather than, like you said, in the ceremony up the top.
Yeah.
And it's the first time you're seeing her as well, so like you're just going to be overwhelmed. And then Kate's going to walk up the aisle, so it's like double whammy.
Yeah, it was already so overwhelming when you're standing there anyway, so I was glad that I got that really nice moment with for Ivy, because I think she might not have understood if I was to focus on
and you
Kate.
can give her time,
Exactly. Yeah, she comes up to you, she's told to sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, goodbye.
Like my worry in that was that someone would pull her away, thinking which they probably would have been doing the right thing to get her to sit down, and then she'd be like,
yeah, no, it was the first time, and when you said it on the call, I was like, that is brilliant.
Yeah, it was
why don't we think of doing this more often? Like,
that was
you know,
that was your idea.
Yeah.
Was that,
Yeah.
It was really nice to do because I got to have a little conversation with Ivy, and looking at the photographs of it and the videos of it now, it's amazing to have it. So
and it's probably one of the key moments that stands out for you, I suppose, in the day.
100%.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So first looks are going to be off the chart.
They're going to be off the charts.
The father,
the
groom, the dad, and then the groom. So it's going to be first looks to the max.
Yeah.
And I think that literally, as you said, like I knew that I wouldn't have like a first look with me and my dad because my dad was dressing me.
Because we didn't know that you had to get that dress on you. It was big enough. Like,
He was going up with the strength to try and get me into it. So that's why I wanted a first look, and I was like, but who could it be with? So it was just perfect.
Yeah, no, it was ideal. And I hope, just putting it out there, ask. This is such a lovely moment to have. I think though from now on, if anybody ever does it, I'm just going to remember Ivy. Because it was the first time it happened.
She walked up and she touched my arm and she went, Dada, I'm here now.
Oh wow.
And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, you can't script that. You leave it alone.
No.
It'll be
And
normal.
for a child, I suppose it's such a practical, like, okay, so I've been told to go up to you. Hello, I'm here.
I'm
here.
Yeah. Special, like, that's my dad.
Hello, Dad. Yeah. But I think she enjoyed it though. She seemed, and she was so good as well to like, for her age to take direction, because in that moment there had to be a bit of direction. I know it was just there's Dad, but you had your back turned to her, like, and it was like go up to him and get his attention. And she did.
She didn't question it.
She didn't. She just did it.
But even the difference between, I know, don't want to go on about respondents too much, but we're probably lucky in the sense that she wasn't say 2.5 or younger, like that she could actually interact and kind of walk around.
Even when we got engaged, we had like purposely chosen 2021 to get married, because we were like, she'll be closer to 3. We could have done it in 2020, but we were like, it'll be closer.
Well, you couldn't probably.
That's true. When we got engaged, and so that was amazing that we thought, she's going to be nearly 3, whereas to have her nearly 4, it did make a massive difference. And she's so independent, way more independent in that year. So,
and while we're mentioning independence, we're kind of like talking about kids and we're talking about what they can do, but like in the drinks reception, she kind of picked a room. She kind of took over a third of the drinks reception, and she just spread everything out. And that's important for kids as well, isn't it? To let them have a bit of fun, because we were saying like it's 10 or 12 hours that they're out on the day and they want to play with an iPad or they want to play with Lego or whatever it is, and it's like let them have that for an hour or 2.
100%. That was very important to us as well, wasn't it? We knew that there'd be a strong child presence at our wedding, basically. Like even Kate put together a children's table full of colouring and
Brilliant.
masks and stuff like that for them to play with, and a sweet card.
I know the adults were wearing the masks.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I think most of the adults went on the candy card as well.
But yeah, it's to let kids be kids was, do you know what I mean? Being like,
that's
if we didn't give her that outlet, she could have been an absolute nightmare. She really could have. Whereas,
and we were joking with this the last week because we were kind of saying if you're going, like you invite adults and you entertain your adults.
Yeah.
If you're inviting children, you need to entertain the children you're inviting. And if they are crying at you a half hour on board, like there's nothing you can what do you expect?
Yeah.
There's
There's
nothing
only so
to
many
do.
chats they can have, or kind of like it's great when they are kind of robbing food and getting it. Like it's so funny when they get access to like the cordial and like they're having refills and they think it's great that they have access to this table, the little party table.
Ivy had,
that's only going to entertain them so much.
Ivy had her first 7-Up at the
First
wedding,
fizzy
her first fizzy drink, and she was just like. Because someone had bought it for her and they were like, oh my god, we're so sorry. I was like, no, it's okay, we just hadn't thought of giving her that, which I think that was probably the highlight of the wedding for her, was getting to have a fizzy drink.
But in the ceremony as well, like it was really nice the way he included her. So obviously, like she walked up the aisle and she got to see Luke at the top of the aisle, and like just to, like you were explaining earlier on, the more theatrical, like it was the Triskel Art Centre in Cork City, and it is a theatre in a sense, like, and it's turned into a cinema some nights, and you really kept that. Like when I say non-traditional, like a lot of people go for bright, white, floral. You went, turn out all the lights.
Except on the stage.
Except on the, which worked really cool in the photographs and stuff. And it was kind of like, you know, the red backdrop of the curtain, which is the real cinema feel, and it was very theatrical. But for Ivy, like, so she got to walk up the aisle, which was lovely. But then you included her in the ceremony as well, in little aspects. Do you want to like share people what you did?
Yeah, so we chose to do a sand ceremony, and she put in 2 vials of the sand, which is really nice. That our celebrant even told us to pick colours, and she was like, pick a specific colour for Ivy, that let Ivy choose them. So she chose 2. So she was putting 1 vial in for herself, and then she chose another one to like represent my mum, because my mum had passed. So it was really nice for her. She knew the colours that were for her, one for like my mum, one for her. And she was so excited to put it in. Brilliant. She really was. Yeah.
And the other one we had the knot. What's it? Tiny knot.
We
We had that, and she was the final one to do. So she actually literally.
You could just see her little face between you below the hands. It was very cute.
She tied the knot up, and we watched a video of it back recently. And she takes a little bow after it.
She does.
When everyone starts clapping, she's like, "Is it for me?"
But about the sand pouring was the nice thing. I actually kind of I quick flick through the photographs, and the little vials. That's actually really helpful for kids, because normally it's in a big jar and they're kind of like, I'll help them, or you can see because people are like, let's do sand, and they get 3 or 4 kind of big jars of sand and put it in. But actually the little vials were a lovely little add to it, and it meant that you could have more colour, more variety.
Yeah, that was Caroline. She kind of organised all of that for us.
Brilliant.
It was unbelievable.
No, that's really
she's very helpful with that, and knowing that there'd be a child there and asking, like as Kate said, which colours she had and stuff. Because it's great that sits on a table outside Ivy's bedroom now when it's there, and she can look at it and she knows which colours are hers in it and stuff.
Yeah, cool. That's perfect for that age group. Like,
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed as well, which is really good as well, like she's very well behaved. Like she's not a kid that's running around like going mental or anything. But like
we got
when you were doing
I was on the chats. There was a few chats over my shoulder checking in. She was going up on the stage.
What I was going to say was she now and then kind of wanted to have a closer look. So she would kind of get up, and there was really cute moments where like, so you were up on a stage for everybody kind of that didn't see it, and everybody's like watching as if it is a performance in a sense, you know, really theatrical. But like she was kind of leaning on the stage watching, and like the good thing about it was she wasn't getting in the way, and she wasn't interfering with the ceremony. And the guests were very good as well, that she was just let to kind of like, you know, have a closer look now and then, you know, and you don't have to be telling kids, sit down, stop doing that. Unless they're, you know, running across the stage and screaming and roaring, you know. And it was lovely. You could see that she was actually getting into it. Like when you were doing certain things and Caroline was saying certain things, she was listening, she was watching, she was taking it all in. And these were like gorgeous moments.
Well, she now gives out to Luke. So part of my vows was about how he leaves the bathroom really wet after he showers. And she now gives out to him because of the vows.
So she listened, she actively
She properly listened. But
so she's policing it now.
Dada, you left it. You left the bathroom wet again. Or
Isn't that amazing though?
Yeah.
She gave out to K4 giving out to me in her vows.
Yeah.
You wrote your own vows, didn't you? How did you find writing your own vows?
Stressful.
I found it. We did like a really stressful look. Yeah.
Well,
Whose idea was it?
We definitely want to do it, or was there kind of like, oh, maybe we don't want to do it?
I think straight away we wanted to.
We definitely wanted to. I know that like you're a really good writer, so I felt the pressure a lot of, oh my god, I'm going to be going first, and like mine aren't going to be how you can put it. But I remember writing it, and I had like bullet points as to what I wanted to say, and none of it got into the vows at all.
Okay.
Because I tried so hard, me being such a like planner that I am, I tried so hard to like be so prepared with it, and then I just couldn't write it. Whereas then when I started writing them, what came out flowed. Do you know that kind of way with it?
It made more sense.
I wrote an initial draft that was all really bad comedy, which is what I do.
So you probably had to get that out of your system.
I think so. And I sent it to Dwayne, who was one of the best men, and Dwayne went, yeah, do this. And then I went, maybe this isn't the right idea. If he's pushing me towards doing this.
Your vows, though, I haven't heard anybody do vows like yours. It was really nice. It was kind of a little bit of a twist on vows and twist on words.
Yeah, I said that I wasn't going to give her vows. I was going to give her what she wants or what she likes more than anything else in the world, which is a plan.
Yes.
Then I explained my plan for the rest of our lives and finished it with a joke. Finished it with and this plan. I like this plan, but this plan, like all my plans, I have to ask, is it okay to run it by you first to make sure it's okay? It's kind of the joke at the end. Reaction.
No, but it works really well because it's not just your usual vows, but it's like you know Kate so well that you're like you know that this is how you can twist this in. I thought it was really nice. That
was my aim. Was if I want to write vows, I obviously like everyone else, you write your own vows. You look up YouTube, you look up Google, you look what everybody else is doing, and I kind of saw that everybody was writing their own, but they were some variation of the same thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And with everything in this wedding, we were trying to individualize it, we were trying to personalize it to make sure it was our wedding and not just our wedding, basically. And so my aim was to say something to Kate. And this was my way of speaking Kate's language was a plan.
Yes, very good.
And it's how we speak to each other.
Yeah.
Like the way that we speak is like taking the mick out of each other. Do you know what I mean? It really is like so.
No, I
like there's
that,
a difference,
so.
like you say that, and I think that's important for people to understand in terms of vows. Like you are speaking to each other rather than say reading that would be in a church or saying a poem. It's kind of you're actually talking to each other, and you're kind of like either making a little promise or reaffirming something with a couple of in jokes maybe, and like that's more personable and kind of what you're trying to achieve. And I appreciate some people might go, that's really not for me and I can't do it, and then therefore they default say back to something they find on the internet or a poem or a hint of a movie or something like that, and that's okay, but it's like it is really nice if you can kind of twist it and you are actually talking to someone. Forget about everybody else in the room.
That was the aim, really. And also I asked Kate her word count. This was a little subtle thing that's in it. I asked Kate her word count and mine is exactly the same as her word count.
Down to the word.
Down to the word.
Down to the word. Yeah.
Exact same word count. So they're exactly
there was a worry when I said there was a worry that it might be too long with it, and I think it was a worry that Luke's mightn't be the same as mine, being a man. I suppose it was
the advice we were given was sometimes the man doesn't have one as long as the woman.
Yeah.
They were like, they have that Luke.
And then I went, how long is yours, Kate? And perfect. Exact same word count.
It's brilliant. I love that. That's really nice. And that's something that's unique to you guys as well. I like that. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
We were saying we were looking at getting matching tattoos at one stage, and one of the ideas I pitched was the number of the words in the vows.
272 or something.
Is it 272? 274, I think,
cool.
Just get that number. Doesn't mean anything to anybody else.
But you'll know exactly what it means. I like that. I like that. And before we get away from Ivy, because I feel like from the morning to the night, she was like such a big part of the day. And I know we kind of touched on the drink reception, and she just seemed like she was having a ball when she got to the ceremony, or to the drinks reception part of it. But then in the evening, so your dad had made like so many dresses, and as you said, like there was skulls included like in her little, and you wore white as well. And sorry, I wanted to touch on that because I know that you said to me in the past that it was one thing that you kind of never visioned yourself was to wear a white wedding dress because it wasn't kind of, I suppose, what you thought was you.
It was completely out of my comfort zone. Okay. Completely. I think
she's not pure.
I'm not even married yet.
But it was something I wanted to do because I had always wanted to get married. So I wanted to have, it's the only time I was going to wear a white dress, but it did take a lot of encouragement from my dad
Yeah.
to get me into it.
Well, what better man,
did.
like he was designing it and making it for you.
Yeah.
But like I've seen like literally hundreds of wedding dresses,
Yeah.
do you know? But your wedding dress was nothing I've ever seen before. And obviously because it was, you know, made particularly
Yeah.
for you. But the little details and stuff in it and your bouquet and the little bits of jewellery and the skulls, the way you brought in your own personality to that white dress. But then what I loved about it was you wore the white dress for the ceremony, you got your photos, but then in the evening you had a second dress.
Yeah, I had
which was
my wedding dress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I had the wedding dress and I had mine.
Yeah. Do you remember what you said to me when you came into the church?
No, go on, what did I say? Oh, what did I say?
I think I said something like, is everything alright, or just making conversation.
I thought he said something
And
really
you
smart,
said,
yeah.
You said, she looks amazing. I don't even know the girl, and I started crying.
And I did genuinely, like I do remember
I didn't know what
that.
to expect.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
but it was because like I saw it hanging, and then when it was on you, I was like in the corner, like, oh Laura, for God's sake, you don't know them. I was like, because I think it was like literally because it was your dad had made it, and I could see that he was aware that we were documenting
Yeah.
the day as well, and he would like for someone that like he's so talented. He's not someone that was like, I'm going to get emotional in front of strangers. I kind of got that sense from him.
Yeah.
And then I'm in the corner, like sensing that, you know, he's kind of trying to keep it together because it's not just the two of you in the room.
Yeah.
You're just on cloud nine, bouncing. Like we know Ivy and your aunt and a few more are just about to come in to see you in this dress for the first time. And I'm in the corner going, am I the fucking only person in this room crying? I'm the only person. So when you asked me that, it was the first thing that popped into my head, and I was like, I'll tell him the rest later.
And I think that was like when you said, are you the only person? Because I had said it to people. I was
Yeah.
like, my grandmother was a huge part of my life and she wasn't there at the wedding, and neither was my mom. And I had said, I was like, I was like, if we have happy tears, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was like, I just don't want that to be the
Strings.
big part of it. So I think everyone's trying to hold everything.
You should have briefed me. And the thing about it is, I'm not a crier. As in, we will go to the cinema, it'll be the soppiest movie, the whole place is crying. I'm sitting there laughing away to myself. Our own wedding day, we did our vows. He cried. I did not cry. Like, I am not a crier. And I'm there going, I don't know, why am I so emotional? This is gorgeous.
I hadn't even seen that.
I was there going, Laura, stop it. But as well as, so you had a second dress,
Yeah.
and it was black.
Yeah.
Which was, it's Kate's colour. You're wearing black today.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Only ever wear black.
And it was kind of like more, we would call it tea-length. It wasn't
Yeah.
tea-length. Yeah,
It was like
tea-length.
just to my ankle.
Yeah. But it was still big enough, like.
Yeah,
Big,
completely.
impressive dress.
And in fairness, that was my dad.
Okay.
Because I wanted it tall. I had said to him that my wedding dress, my second wedding dress, that I wanted it to be like a really dark fairy tale. I was like, that was my princess dress.
I like that.
But
Yeah.
like a Grimm's fairy tale, Grimm's brother fairy tale, not like the Disney fairy tale.
Okay.
Do you know that kind of way?
Don't Disney princess me. Yeah.
And I wanted it to be somewhat big, but then Dad just went, no, you need more. And I said it to him, I was like, Dad, I was like, you can puke all over this dress. I was like, everything that's in your head, throw it at the dress. And I was like, this is your time to just go with what you want. Because he really had to help me with my white dress.
Yeah.
So I was like, you can just go hell for leather with my second dress.
Yeah, and the detail on it was just epic. Like it was dripping in skulls and detail, and it was amazing. But the reason I'm bringing this up for Ivy is, and you didn't know this,
No.
and this was, so I knew this. Benny knew this. Your dad obviously knew this, and Ivy actually kept it to herself. Again, another example of how advanced this 3-year-old was.
It's a scary though. She keeps secrets from us. This.
Yeah, like it was like, cause I was like, because when your dad was telling me, I was like, and Ivy kept this, like, I can't believe she's kept this a secret. So what they did was, in secret, as well as making you a second dress, he also made Ivy a replica miniature of your black evening dress. So you'd no idea.
None
Your
whatsoever.
3-year-old knew all about it. Your father knew all about it. And then we're in the corridor, and I'm trying to pretend we're like in the worst location for like a stage photo, and the two of you are kind of looking at me going, what is she doing? Like, I haven't taken this long all day to take a photograph. And I'm like,
Just hang on here for a
yeah,
bit more,
and I'm just waiting for someone, and because there was a lift behind you, and literally down the lift doors open, your dad's in the lift, and out runs Ivy. In this, Ivy stole the show, lads. Out runs Ivy in this black replica dress, and your expressions were just like, it was brilliant, and she was just like, ta-da!
She was so happy because she always says like, she'll play characters, and she was like, that was my dark princess. She was like, that's my dark princess dress. And it was just to see her, she was so happy in it as well.
She was much happy, like she loved her flower girl dress then, but she loved this one, because she got to be like you, I think is probably that's what she wanted.
But it was an amazing surprise for us. I suppose we had planned everything so much in the wedding. It was really nice to have someone plan something for us. Do you know what I mean? A surprise for us.
But I remember in the moment, because just before, say, we went downstairs for the reveals, like you were on that mode, right? Because I don't know whether you remember this.
Told me where she was.
And we were trying to like, Luke, she's fine.
And he was so cool out and he's so friendly, and like so I was like, you changed completely. You were just like, Dad, and I just need to know where my kid is right now. And I was just like, with Ernest, like, it's grand, we got this covered, because you were just like, that room, in that room.
And then you were like, I'll go up to her, and we were like, please don't.
And I was thinking, like, what's going on?
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so they know where she is, that's all I need to know now, I suppose. But
go from that extreme, from being in that emotion to come downstairs and then get a double one.
Yeah. It was a roller coaster. But it was, that happened was my little brother, who's 10, was kind of watching Ivy a bit. And no one told him that they were taking her either.
Okay.
He came to me panicking.
So he was just being responsible.
And he was like really nervous, and he said, I think I lost Ivy. And I was like, okay. And I checked all the bathrooms, I checked everything. I think I checked our room maybe. And I was like,
because he was in the dad's room, because he hadn't dressed in.
And I was like, oh my God, where is she? And I hadn't, if I twigged that he wasn't there, I think I'd have been like, okay.
But I think that was the thing, he was getting me dressed. I think it was actually my two aunts basically
getting
Ivy dressed.
Yeah.
So it was the fact that you wouldn't have noticed that Grace and Susan were gone. Yeah. Whereas my dad, you knew, was with me. So it was like, well, she couldn't have been. Where is she?
And then when
We
you said
probably
she was
could
okay,
have had that.
when you said she was okay, I was like,
but
where?
Photographers, you kind of know where your child is, and no one does.
Did we choose to trust them in this moment with our child?
They did.
Okay.
She's fine.
I was like, what do I do now? I just freaked out for the last 10 minutes.
But then her on the dance floor, like you were doing your first dance, and she's just in front of me, and she's spinning around and around in her little black dress. And it was just, from the minute I walked in the morning, all the way through the day, you did an amazing job of, I'm not just saying this, you did an amazing job of including your daughter in your wedding. And it's like, it's not an easy thing to do, because you haven't gotten married before. Yeah. And if you've been to a wedding, you probably have taken very little notice of what the children are doing or how the children are being entertained, and it is a brand new kind of area to get into. But you absolutely like nail on the head.
I think that
was brilliant.
I was Ivy's age at my parents' wedding.
Okay.
So I think that's probably in my head somewhere.
Okay, I like that.
I think I was included quite a lot in that wedding anyway.
Yeah.
But it's interesting parallel, I suppose, to have with her.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, you did such a good job. In fairness, right? Just wanted to say that. Give yourself a hand back. I like it. So then, what we love talking about, the photo shoot first. Oh yeah, everyone gets excited for this. So it was Ireland, it was October, and it was the wettest October we've seen in a long, long time.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. Now, in a sense, we got lucky, kind of, because it was pouring rain all morning and all the way through the ceremony. And it was only when we kind of came out and we were doing the family were sheltered, and we were still in a bit of rain. It was still coming down, and the forecast was actually saying this was not to stop, but not for a while. And then the minute the family were over, it dried up. But the thing was how long was that train? Do you know how long it was?
I don't know how long it was.
We need to get a measuring tape.
The pond, what do you call it? No,
the fountain. It was actually like the fountain in Cork City,
It was very, very
It was
long.
huge. And it was the type of wedding dress that, if you're going to go and walk through the city centre and do a photo shoot, if you try to throw this over your arm, or Luke were to carry it the whole way through, like, yes, you'd have photographs, but it wouldn't have been the photo shoot that we did.
No.
And making that decision in that moment to, first of all, actually go ahead with it, because many people in that moment would have went, no, it's too wet.
Catch me on a different day, I probably would have said no. It was just
adrenaline.
But it was fun.
Good, and that's what I like to hear.
We really enjoyed it, and like he made it easy for us, obviously as well. But there was no pressure to do it or not do it, and it was just kind of like, can we do this? And then you shouted to your dad, like, can we wreck this? Yeah, okay.
Well, I knew that we could get like the shots. I knew that like we could carry my dress, I could put it over my shoulder and go stand to take a picture, lift it back up, go. But I was like, that wasn't what we wanted. We wanted a relaxed, like, for you to be able to capture like everything, not just those like posed
Stage
pictures.
But we said all the time we wanted it to look as it is on the day, and it was a rainy day in October, and we were in the city, so it literally captures it exactly.
I think it added to it in the end. I think it became your day. Like it could have been a dry, crisp day, really easy, and that was it. But I think it actually added to the day in the end. And that moment of you shouting across the park to your dad, going, "Dad, can I wreck the dress? Will you cut the train?" And he's like, "Yeah, love. Yeah, that's cool. That's good." And I was there going, what?
What he actually said, because I actually said it to him. It was like I shouted out, I was like, "Are you sure? Can I? Will you cut this? Can I wreck the dress?" Because he had put so much effort into it. I wasn't going to take that for granted. And he was like, he was like, "Once you get the shots, I'll be there." So he was just like, "Get the shots that you want and get that."
And it was, and then because we had made that decision, and you were happy just to let that train. The weight of a case. Like you must have been bruised, girl. On the
It's 3 of you carrying it.
It was, and it wasn't easy to lift. Like you were trying to pick it up and kind of going, how am I going to carry the weight? But it was substantial, like
because it had soaked up the city.
I don't think I had realised, because even carrying it, I remember the night before carrying it down from my dad's room with my aunt, and it was 2 of us, and that was when it was dry, and it was heavy. Once it started getting wet, like I was a bit breathless. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't physically.
And it was corseted as well, so there was less room for air.
Corseted?
That's what that's pulling you back.
Sucking everything in. Like,
I was very lucky to not have fainted for that whole how my dad managed.
But it was like, the fact that we were able to walk, and the fact that you were even as well. So it's raining, the dress is down, you're having fun as you said, but you're still walking from one side of the city to the other, which is something also people wouldn't even walk that far. Like, you know, like, and so there was so many things that you did that because you were like, we know what we want out of this. This is the moment we can get it. Let's just go for it. And like being able to go around and get graffiti and the laneways. And I think what I loved the most about the photo shoot was the interaction with the random strangers in Cork City.
That was excellent.
It really was. Do you know what I really liked, and we've spoken about it, is that everyone knew it was a real wedding. If I had come across that, I would have thought, okay, that's a photo shoot. But for some reason, they just knew, probably because we were so giddy, that it was real, and I loved it. Like, people coming over, and like, I was like, just come in for a photograph. Just, do you want my bouquet? Have this.
There was a group photo with 3 strangers at one stage, and one of them was holding your bouquet. I was like, what is going on?
A random woman came up over to you to tell you to pick up your dress and try to give it to you.
She was getting very concerned that we were ruining this dress. But I've never, like, people do tend to look and watch when there's a wedding around when you're in crowds, but I've never seen a city stand still as much as they did when you were just walking through it with the dress down, and you could physically see the wet, see the dirt it was gathering, and you just had the 6 smile on your face. You were marching through the sea. It was great.
Well, we said afterwards, we were talking about it, and everybody in the lead up to the wedding was saying, look, you might not get to see each other as much as you think on your wedding day and all that kind of stuff. That gave us...
I know we were around, but at the same time, it was away from the guests.
Together, and it gave us, an hour and a half maybe, to just be with each other after we'd just been married. And I know we're taking photos, but we were talking to each other, we were
having
kissing
fun.
Each other. We were
there's lots of kissing going on.
Awkwardly, because we wouldn't be
we're like, no kiss. We're like, well, if you insist.
You know you wanted to kiss there.
It's to do it in front of like a photographer and videographer, but then like in the city, like
random
people
who
were coming up and going, wow. Like,
but I remember you saying, you were like, yeah, just chat away, and we were chatting, and then I think Laura every now would go, remember you love each other. And we'd just be like, oh yeah.
Every couple does it. It's like if you leave them alone for more than 30 seconds, a conversation fires up and the serious faces come on and we're having a full blown, and I'm like, no, we're still in a apology. Everyone does it.
But what I loved is with yourselves is it was like, okay, walk, and whenever you feel like it, give a kiss. Because that was something massive for us, even picking photographers, is for us, we knew that like positioning ourselves in a pose thing just wasn't going to work, and it would have been so awkward for us.
We'd have ended up laughing. We'd have ended up not taking it seriously. Probably.
And the thing about it is, that's a lot of people, and the most people when they get on contact me at the start, they say like, and they don't mean it as an insult, and they're kind of saying, I'm getting married, I need photographs of my wedding day, I hate my photograph being taken, and I hate the idea of being really lovey-dovey and kind of being told this is where your hand's going, and then some people love the direction, but the majority of people, they just like, it's putting you at ease, that's what my job is, and then the photographs will roll from there. But there was nobody to be at ease. You were having great crack.
But I do think that's down to a lot of what you did, again, not just because we're here. Like even when you were in the house in the morning and stuff like us there, you were so easygoing that you slotted into our easygoingness, and that kind of, it gives you permission to be calm.
Yeah, it's important to kind of like, it's not, our personality shouldn't impose on your day, so like I'll balance my personality to how the lads are. So when I know like the lads, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, alright, the humour's going in that direction, which was pretty much alright. Anything can go with Dwayne, right, grand, so like, let's do that.
Well, it was wrestling and hearses.
I ended up cooking breakfast while we were watching like 90s wrestling, and then we got driven in a funeral car.
Because when someone told, I think you texted me and you were like, we're on the way, I'm in a funeral car, and I was like, that's definitely a spell check.
Fun car,
People are so positive when you walk in through the city, right? People have such a positive attitude towards you. The workman who gave you like the love sweet through the window, like that.
Love hearts.
I still have them.
Do you?
Yeah.
People are great though, aren't they?
Yeah,
amazing. Like the funeral director who gave you a lift to the city. Like people are great on a wedding day and they help out. Like I don't know about you, but like people are like, they would help you out and they have such positive kind of vibes towards you.
Now we did help with that we live above the funeral home.
I still think that's very funny. Like that's brilliant.
I didn't suit the wedding though.
It doesn't matter. It suited your theme. It was fine. Yeah.
We ran James and we hadn't figured out a lift for you.
Yeah,
it's just something we didn't think of.
Well, a lot of people do this. They like, you had the VW van for you to get to the ceremony, and I actually always say this to people: how were the bridesmaids getting there? How were the moms, the aunts? How was the groom getting? And people go, oh yeah.
It was the group. Like, we had everything else organised, but and you were like, oh look, we can get the bus or we'll get taxi, and I was like,
I thought the bus would have been funny.
You wouldn't be the only girl that's gone to the bus.
But I was like, you're not, because it wasn't what you really wanted either. So I rang around and tried to get things organised the day before the wedding, and rang our landlord and was like, any chance do you have a funeral car that could drop?
But it was one thing that stood out to me throughout the whole day, like little things like that. Like you travelled to the ceremony location in a funeral car. Like it's hilarious because because you also live above a funeral home. It's hilarious. But like the city centre photo shoot, because you wanted the city centre, and then as well as that, at the end of it, we were really lucky in that they allowed us to do it. Is we were able to go with the Everyman to actually get some photos on the stage in the Everyman as well. And like this was great because this is your personality. And the great thing about it is you shared this with us, and then we knew the type of couple you were. We knew what you wanted, and I remember you laughing at the start, going like, I love the ugly photos as well as the posed ones. And they're like, I want the real moments of the wedding day. But it was like, for us, it was a memorable photo shoot because it's not very often it happens, to be fair. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Like, that was probably, it sounds awful, that was probably one of my like favourite memories of the whole day was the photo shoot.
That's amazing.
Which I don't think I would say from some other weddings I've been to, that the photo shoot people are getting a bit stressed and getting a bit, there was none of that. It was
don't do stress, Luke. Don't do stress.
You enjoyed it, and it was kind of like a celebration of, you'd had the ceremony worked there, and that was great. And I was like, now let's have a bit of fun on the way to the party.
Exactly.
And you actually enjoyed it and you embraced it.
Yeah. And then to finish it off, when we arrived to the menu, to your dad standing there with a pair of scissors in his hands. I mean, like, the day just kept getting better and better. And I think we were all in that moment, because I listened to the audio of that video of him thing, and like, my laugh is off. Like, I'm aware of my laugh anyway, but it was off the charts in that moment. Like, I think everybody was like giving little comments in the background, and then your dad, like, cool, it's a cucumber.
So calm.
Getting the scissors.
It's the sentence he said, sure, it's just a dress to me, I deal with them every day.
It's just material. It's just material. Yeah.
But it was the thing that, like, him cutting the train meant that I could continue wearing the dress.
Yes.
Because otherwise I couldn't have. I wouldn't have walked into the hotel.
You would have to get changed earlier.
I couldn't walk in it physically.
Yeah.
I would have ruined the hotel, which I wasn't going to do. And I would have had to get out of the dress that took so much to get me into it. You know?
No, I think subtly you kind of naturally did it. Kind of your kind of explosion of kind of happiness was when you went into the drinks reception. You naturally just did a spin.
I'm free.
Exactly.
It was gorgeous. No, and I felt a lot of people didn't even really notice. Like, in the drinks reception, I don't think people were coming up to you saying, what happened? Where's the rest of it? Like,
also, what would you have, even if you didn't get that wet, That train was so big. How would you have even gotten through the
I wouldn't be able
reception?
to put it on my
Yeah.
arm, and I would have, because we had thought of that, obviously, because it's such a long dress. My dad was like,
Over
right.
shoulder.
It definitely was the longest train I've seen. Like.
It
it was.
Yeah,
But
it was
probably
big.
kind
It
of
was
the point
big.
that
Yeah.
trains, like, they're brilliant for like the pre-ceremony, to walk up the aisle.
And a few
and
photos.
a few
yeah.
photographs. But then it's kind of like they've served their purpose. So it's
Yeah.
like when you're going around the drink section, when you're chatting away, you probably don't want this huge train.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are doing detachable trains now,
Yeah.
and but maybe the whole Ernest and the Scissors thing. He could set a company up, right? And he could go to weddings and just be ready when they arrive with a scissors in
And
hand.
whip it up.
Cut that baby off.
The dress cutter.
Dress cutter. Yeah. There you go. Hashtag the dress cutter. You can set that up later on today. That'll give you something to do for the afternoon. Another thing I want to talk about was, and a lot of people are very focused on details, which you are a detailed orientation person. It was even in the vows. But when it came to details, like, so I'm going to have to read this out because it's like, it was very, so yeah. So when I was talking to you on the phone and you were telling me about all the details, and I was like, is there a kind of a theme to this, Kate? Like, where is the theme going, right? And this is what you said to me because I had to write it down in the moment, right? So you told me the theme of the day was abandoned, futuristic, forest graveyard, classy vampire theme.
Kind of like a classy vampire.
And I was like, wow, that's epic.
It's like just a bunch of random words. Throw it and see what sticks.
After you've seen it, was she right?
Well, it was. Like, literally, like, it was. Like, but you put, like, the DIY level that you put into your wedding day, and a lot of people, they like the idea of doing DIY, and they like the idea of the finished product and everything. But the process of doing a DIY when it comes to decor on your wedding day, and you can probably tell because I didn't do it for mine because I wouldn't be that person. But like, what was it actually like to do that level of decor and DIY? Mayhem.
Absolute mayhem, especially with a 3-year-old child, and you're at home going, "Oh my god." It was a lot. It really was, but it was something that I really wanted to do. Okay. So I think that kind of got us through it. But it was down to like masks. I wanted masks on all the tables. I bought all the masks, but then I decided, no, I want to customise every single mask.
They were like masquerade masks, weren't they? Yeah.
So it meant getting a big bag of broken jewellery and literally spending like 20 minutes on each one, where I had like 40 masks.
I'd come home from work and Kate sitting on the floor cross-legged with a glue gun and masks, sticking feathers, and like, does this look good? But she answers always yes.
Well, you knew that was the right answer. You point this out to me.
It's handy that it often is actually the correct answer as well.
But yeah, it was the level of
time
detail
and the pressure to get it done. Like, so the thing I kind of want to highlight is if you're kind of like, you half like the idea of it, but you're not a crafty person, there's a balance. Like, don't get into this.
Are you crafty?
You're crafty. I am crafty.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me.
Okay.
Do you know, it's not something to take lightly at all. Like, even our invites, like I found the image to the invite 3 years previous when we just got engaged.
Okay.
And we designed the whole invite by ourselves.
Wow.
And then the paper, I couldn't find the right paper, so then eventually did, but it wasn't ragged enough, so I had to like cut all the edges.
Did you do those invites as well? And actually, they were fabulous.
Yeah.
They were the kind of purpley ones.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
And then like down to ribbons, then we did like the wax seals, and it was a lot.
But that is a
really
level of detail that you don't see. Like, and the centerpieces, you see centerpieces, but your centerpieces, and I think the part of the forest graveyard, is a really good way of like describing the centerpieces, because like you had the balance, as you said, of sitting down with a glue gun and masks, but then there was like next to that bedazzled skulls. That's the only way I can describe it.
My dad and I had been collecting the skulls for around 2 years.
They're now all over our house.
Yeah, I was going to say, where are they now? They're just in the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're probably the only people that will have, what was it, around 23 skulls in our like 3-bedroom apartment. But yeah, so we had that, and we'd been collecting them. But I also wanted, like, we had books, because like books would be a massive thing even for like us with Ivy. With her, so we had like books there. We had branches of trees, which my uncle and my dad went out to the woods and chopped up, the twigs off the trees.
Yeah, had to show to Kate to make sure they were the right ones.
And then I did see them, and my uncle like managed to pop them into like a log to have them standing up, but then I decided to spray paint all of them, so I like spray painted them with 3 different colours.
It sounds like it spiraled. Okay, it probably started off with an idea as well, and then the idea grows legs, doesn't it? And you just just that little thing. And I'll just do that to that. And if I do that for one, I'll have to do it for the 40s, you said.
Yeah.
And bottles as well, wasn't there?
There was bottles, yeah, so we saved bottles, and I spray painted all the bottles to have our numbers on it.
Did you give a hand to the DIY?
No,
God, no.
The invitation, I'm the one who made on the computer.
Anything
Kate did everything
digitally.
else.
Okay,
Anything
I like
digital, I do
this.
anything crafty, Kate.
Okay, you were more like the ceremony space was like, I felt like it was
Yeah,
your
I
baby
suppose
on the
so.
day in
Yeah,
a sense,
that-
because like the
yeah.
lighting and the music and the,
All of that would have been
Yeah.
obviously run by Kate, but like a lot of the songs and stuff I would have kind of found and or there have been ones that we know together, I suppose, and things like that. Yeah, but yeah, Kate's the hands-on person.
It's a good pair though. Yeah, it worked. Yeah.
And that was, we know each other's like strengths and weaknesses, and we just worked towards that. I would never, and when you're crafting, like so many people will say, oh, who did you get help with? And I was never going to say, Luke, will you do the invites, or will you stick jewels
Because
onto
you knew he would hate that moment.
I didn't want to change
Likewise,
it.
a bridesmaid telling bridesmaids, oh, we're doing this, and then like, but they're just not into that type of thing, or it's not their strength.
Yeah.
And it's probably on the lad side is like, you'd your brother as your best man, and then Dwayne's a comedian and kind of like very outgoing, but he did the speech. And it's kind of like there was a nice balance there, wasn't there?
I think balance is the key word for that one. Like that's why the whole way through said there's 2 best men.
Yes.
There's 2 groomsmen, 2 best men.
Yes,
Same
exactly.
thing.
Yeah,
There's
sure,
no hierarchy. Cormac was there to do the best man speech. Dwayne was there to MC it, basically.
Yes.
And go in and out, and because we didn't have a top table.
Yeah.
So Dwayne was getting the microphone and weaving away around and making the whole thing seem
connected
together.
Yeah.
So that balance is what we were trying to do for the whole wedding, really.
And you did a great job, and I know like everyone kind of like we're on the subject of speeches, and like some people like everyone does speeches usually at a wedding, but you did them nicely in a sense of they were before the meal, so they were kind of done. Nobody was nervous eating, and then like there was quite a few people spoke, but they all spoke in a nice kind of condensed amount of time that no one spoke on for like a very long time, and everyone kind of really gave a very heartfelt kind of speech to you. It wasn't, I've looked this up online.
Yeah.
And I'm going to thank the same people. It was lovely. And then Dwayne though, like, I mean, are we like, he did steal the show at the end. I mean, like, the man was in a sleeveless shirt by the end of his speech. I mean.
My uncle came over to me on stage and said, great day, yourself and Dwayne were great. And I said, I married Kate though.
Oh, no.
I'm okay to come in second to Dwayne. I'm okay.
But no, it was funny. It was good. It was kind of one of it's another thing that kind of stands out. But like you kind of like you did the day. I don't know if you realised how well you put the day together, and maybe kind of like maybe you haven't. And I'm actually talking you through it. I'm laying it out there. But no, you did, and you did such an amazing job on so many parts of it. Is there anything that you would actually, if you were to go back and do it again, would you change anything, or were you just happy with it with the way it went?
Do you know what? There was things that went wrong on the day. Like our first dance, the music just cut off after like 30 seconds, which definitely was not what I wanted.
It was everybody else's fault. Everyone was blaming someone else for this moment.
And like us walking in for our entrance, that song didn't play. Actually, it was all music. It was all your fault.
You were musically
but I don't.
What I did was right. They didn't press play.
But I don't think I'd change it.
No.
Yeah.
Because there were just
things
moments
that go wrong like that were part of the day, and we were laughing at them and things.
And
like
I think
that.
it highlighted the fact of like when things go wrong in our life, we laugh about it.
That's true.
So it actually highlighted what we're like as a couple, seeing things go wrong on the day rather than.
But I really like that because you can be a planner and you can put every ounce of energy you can into planning this day, and you should. If you can plan the day by the second, do it. But one thing I want to give the two of you credit for, and I really mean this now, right? Because I really mean this.
But it's
because
probably
we
good
make
advice
this,
to other couples as well, like who do have lots of ideas
Exactly,
or can set up so many different things.
Yeah.
There's a point at which
because you put so much, like, so you were so involved in like setting up the ceremony and the lighting and the music and the amount of detail, and you were lucky enough with the DIY that you were able to put it together the night before and be happy with it, which was a massive thing. And then the fact that you've also got your daughter who you're involving and you're kind of keeping her, so you're putting all this, and there's a million things going on in your head, and you've just put like an extra year into it because you'd no choice and you had to, you know. But on the day, ye were always in the moment. Like, ye were not distracted. Ye just put all this work into the day, and it was an epic amount of work, and it was a bit of an army that helped you as well.
Yeah, there are probably lots of planners and organisers and people with lists and kind of spreadsheets and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. But there's a point where you have to step back and just let it happen.
Yeah.
And if the music doesn't play, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And as you said, it's a memory. And if it rains,
exactly,
it rained. You can't control that.
You have to decide whether you want to lean into the mistakes or you want to lean into the moments or not.
Or let it ruin your day.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure people can do, this spiral if something goes wrong. And there's no point.
But no, you were very present for your own wedding day, and I know that sounds like a strange thing to say, but there's some people and it's not their fault, but they just can't seem to bring themselves into the moment. And you know, you're about to walk up the aisle, or you're about to do your first dance, or you're about to do these things, but you're there and you're doing it, but you're thinking about what's happening next. But I could tell with the two of you that like every little moment, like he never stopped smiling, he genuinely stayed in the moment, and it was gorgeous. It really was the way to do it. And knowing the amount that you had put into it prior to it, it was impressive.
There was a lot to think about, but it was good to not think about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get
You know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah, and you did have a great support system around you, like having your dad who had, like, you know, was there to kind of help you with all the dresses all day long. Your lads were great at helping out, and like your suits as well. We haven't even mentioned your suit. Like you were all black. I love that you had like black, and then you had the little was it the Hobbit?
The leaves of Lorien from Lord of the Rings.
That's it. Yeah.
And the lapels.
Instead of like the buttonholes. Yeah. Because you didn't do fresh flowers at all, did you? No.
Now my flowers were fresh, but I just did them myself.
She did them herself as well.
I just threw that together the night before. Easy.
The day before, we went into the florist with my dad, and we just picked what ones I wanted as in specific flowers, rather than just I wanted this type of a bouquet. And just put them together what I wanted. But even my bridesmaids just said leaves, because I was like, I didn't really want.
And I think because we mentioned earlier on the fact that you were like, you know, your dad helped you with the whole concept of a white dress. Yeah. But then I think it worked really well that you showed up wearing this very large white dress. Like it was epic, the detail on it. And then the fact that the lads wore all black. Yeah. The bridesmaids wore black, and it was a very dark scene. It was perfect. And I think it actually worked out really well, because I think if you also wore black, you might not have stood out as much in that moment.
It would have probably been lost.
Yeah.
No, I am so happy that I did decide to go, because it was a struggle, wasn't it? Like even up to like a week beforehand, I was struggling with it. I always say my dad was like a designer, a therapist, a father, and a magician all at once. And that's why I think even like with the clip now being at like 2 million, that like I was worried about wearing this dress and 100 people seeing this dress. And I was like, I needed therapy for 100 people to see me in this dress. Now 2 million, I'm like, no. It's something you couldn't. If you had told me then, I would have been like,
no, that's not for me. I don't think any of us mean to go viral on TikTok in that sense.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. But guys, I just want to say thank you so much for coming in and talking through, because I know for you guys, you've experienced it and you've planned it and you've had the day, and a lot of the things you did just came naturally to you. Yeah. But the day ran beautifully and you seemed to really enjoy yourselves, and I kind of just wanted to put that kind of like nice atmosphere out there that you can plan, but you can like let go on the day. You know, you can add your own personal touches to it, you can include your children, and you can just be yourselves, but also like accommodate the guests and keep everybody else happy. You kind of ticked all the boxes in that sense. Don't know if you realised you did it at the time, but you did do it. And I just want to say thanks so much for like sharing it with everybody though.
No, not at all. Thanks so much for asking us. Like anytime I can reminisce on the day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll still be 20 years time being like, does anyone else want to talk about my wedding?
She'll be having big watch parties. She'll be inviting people over going, now today we're going to watch the YouTube video of me talking about my wedding.
I'll be there at 80 being like, come on, in the nursing home, come see my wedding.
Here's the video, it's now on 20 minutes.
So first we're going to watch the TikTok video, then we're going to watch a professional video, and then we're going to watch the podcast talking about what happened.
Exactly.
But thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.